Good afternoon, I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. The headlines. KAMPYONGO not shaken by current prosecutions. HRC urges government to address the plight of the marginalized. Join me with the details after this commercial.
The trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
And other media news in detail. Democratic Party National Treasurer Justin Nkonge has reported the former party presidential candidate Harry Calabar to the police for the offense of perjury. Mr. Nkonge says Calabar has continued to purport as the party's president, which is against the party's constitution, which states that the highest office of the party is that of the national chairperson. Mr. Nkonge also says Mr. Calabar lied before the courts of law that he and his colleagues amended the party's constitution after the August general elections in order to disadvantage him from acting as the party president. And Party Secretary General Evans Chilambwe says he and his colleagues will continue mobilizing the party and that the new presidential candidate will be appointed at an appropriate time.
Opposition political parties are health for any democracy as they keep the government in power in checks and balances. However, the recent wrangles in Zambia's political environment leaves much to be desired as the opposition political parties are slowly losing relevancy due to misunderstandings within the parties. The Democratic Party Judith Kabemba faction now says it has reported the former party's presidential candidate in the 12th August general elections, Harry Calabar, to the police for perjury contrary to Section 104 of the Penal Code. Party National Treasurer Justin Nkonge says Mr. Calabar, among other things, lied before the courts of law that Mr. Nkonge and his colleagues amended the party's constitution after the August general elections in order to disadvantage Mr. Calabar from acting as party's president.
So perjury is coming in because Harry Calabar has blatantly lied, this time on oath, that our constitution was replaced from the Registrar of Societies. So that matter is very crucial, is very central to the issue to be determined in the courts of law.
Mr. Nkonge adds that Mr. Calabar has continued to purport as the party's presidential candidate when the constitution of the party has no provision of the party's president but that of the party's chairperson.
The other perjury offense, because he's facing 2 counts, is because he is claiming to be the president of the party, and he has lied that Harry Calabar was actually elected at our convention which we had in Chilanga, when in fact, when you read, because that thing was on open camera, I don't know, maybe you were also here there as Camnet. It is on open camera, everyone who covered, we never went to elect anyone as president.
And party's Audit 7 member Evans Chilambwe, who is also party secretary general, says the party has nothing to do with Mr. Calabar and that they will continue to mobilize until they announce the next presidential candidate.
So as for us, we are not rushing, we are not in a hurry. We'll take our time, rebuild our party, organize more members, recruit more members, so to say, so that our party grows, and we will be giving positive checks and balances to the current government, unlike other cheap, I may call them cheap politicians who are giving premature criticism to the current government.
And former party running mate Judith Kabemba has also added a voice to the expulsion of Mr. Calabar.
Because our constitution has no provision for a party president. and we had simply invited Mr. Kalaba to come and contest as our presidential candidate. Now, after that, Mr. Kalaba has been clinging on, holding on to power. So we took him to court.
Meanwhile, efforts to get a comment from Mr. Kalaba proved futile by broadcast time as his phone went unanswered. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Minister of Justice Mulambo Haimbe has revealed that the process of reenacting critical pieces of legislature is expected to begin in February 2022 as soon as the legislative session of Parliament commences. Speaking during the commemoration of the International Human Rights Day in Lusaka, Mr. Haimbe says the new reforms will, among other things, ensure that practical legislative steps are taken to enhance the protection of human rights and see to it that the rule of law is upheld across the country. Meanwhile, Human Rights Commission HRC Director Ms. Florence Chiwesha has called on the new administration to address the plight of marginalized groups such as women, girls and persons with disabilities.
Human rights form the base of any country, as hardly anything can function if human rights are not regarded. Previous years have seen different sectors in the country bemoaning gross human rights violations, especially during election time when various political officials collide with the police service. Zambia has joined the world in commemorating the International Day of Human Rights, which falls on 10th December of every year, to mark the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. Speaking during the commemoration in Lusaka, Minister of Justice Mulambo Haimbe says the new administration will undertake various reforms that will ensure the protection of marginalized groups such as women and people with disabilities. He adds that these reforms will also ensure the protection of human rights of citizens and will see a Public Order Act which is applied without discrimination.
Let me just note here at this juncture that several people have asked the question, when will begin? And I'm happy to report back to the people of Zambia and the members in this August House that the process of reenacting or enacting, as the case may be, some of the critical pieces of legislation is well in train, and by the time the legislative session of Parliament commences in February of next year, you will be able to see that some of these pieces of legislation will be put forward for consideration.
Meanwhile, Human Rights Commission Director Ms. Florence Chiwesha says key to upholding human rights in the country is ending vices such as cadarism permanently.
It is a fact that the country is experiencing the positive effects of the rule of law, which is conducive for the enjoyment of human rights, following the maintenance of law and order by protecting citizens from criminal and unlawful activities of political functionaries and criminals in the name of political cadres. When there is lawlessness and violation of human rights, the vulnerable groups of society, such as women and persons with disability, suffer the most as they are inhibited from participating in political, economic, and social activities aimed at improving their own welfare.
Speaking after the event, New Heritage Party Vice President Mr. Samuel Kasanka notes that there is need for more sensitization on human rights in the country.
Year in, year out, we have this International Human Rights Day, which is an international commemoration. Very good speeches are made, commitments are also made. However, the human rights situation in the country is not changing. The human rights situation in Zambia is very, very bad. Now, one of the reasons why the human rights situation in the country is still bad is that the greater majority of the people of this country do not understand and appreciate what human rights are.
The event was attended by representatives from the European Union, the United Nations, political parties, and gender organizations, among other stakeholders. It was held under the theme, Equality, Reducing Inequalities, Advancing Human Rights. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, Vice President Mtalina Lubango has disputed claims that the ruling United Party for National Development is using state institutions to prosecute opposition members of parliament. Responding to a statement issued by Bangwe lawmaker Anthony Kasandwe that the government is being unfair by not allowing the 9 members of parliament in the House. But the Vice President has urged all not to politicize law enforcement institutions, adding that the New Dawn government has made a point out not to interfere with the operation of these institutions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, it's a procedural motion. I just want to thank the members that have spoken to the motion, except to correct the notion, because it has gone around, Madam, that there is political harassment. Madam Speaker, there is no political harassment. Yeah. The issue here, people, if you feel extremely innocent, you feel harassed, it's an opportunity for you to go to court. Yeah. And come out clean, so that people don't continuously therefore look at you with suspicion. That is not harassment. And to state, Madam Speaker, that this is political harassment, maybe let them say it is, what is it? Because we have declared, even standing here, Madam, that we don't want our hands to control investigative wings. We don't want to control any institution other than ourselves. And we have restraint. We are people that want to see unity. But if there is suspicion and the investigative wings find that there is reason for you to be taken to court, please don't take it as harassment. Why isn't the honorable member himself speaking, not being harassed? What is the choice? Why not him? Why not the other one sitting there or the other one there? Let us not politicize the institutions of governance. Let them do their work. Madam, what is said in the end is very important. Let us unite, honorable members. Let us not look at things like victimization, harassment. We are not a vindictive government. We know the environment, and we want to work, Madam Speaker, with colleagues to push Zambia forward.
Police have formally charged and arrested former Home Affairs Minister Stephen KAMPYONGO for the offense of endangering the safety of civil aircrafts in a flight or service with its passengers on board, contrary to the laws of Zambia. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga has confirmed that the former minister has jointly been charged with 6 others, namely Andrew KAMPYONGO, aged 41, James Mlenga, aged 53, Kefas Mwaba, aged 32, Philip Sinkala, aged 25, Ignatius Msonda, aged 38, and Augustine Kapolio. And Mr. KAMPYONGO, who spoke shortly after his release from custody, has promised the people of Chinsali district that he will not be shaken by the current prosecutions.
Hello, wayamba lelo ndesura mwali ndishiba nemi kali neandi nemi kulire andi kuno kutifura mwali ndishiba necho mupelelo obutungulushi nicho mwali nchetekeno kutira ndi mubomfi wenu kanshina ngubantala anshe ine mkwai ndela afyo kutira nshane nuke iyo kanshi mkwai na pamande tukabwela tukesembona banensi barabashala nabo kutyabaka bali okafumelo mlandu tukalelula pakufuma kunse achipashangira munyina chipashangira munye chipashangira.
Well, that news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Media News, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. KAMPYONGO not shaken by current prosecutions. HRC urges government to address the plight of the marginalized. Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Good afternoon.